On behalf of the Pishevar family and the Mohebbi family, on behalf of his loving mother Zahra and his loving father Afshin, on behalf of my mother and father Eshrat and Dr. Pishevar, on behalf of my children Cyrus and Darya Pishevar, on behalf of my sister and brother-in-law, Drs. Bita and Alvin Haynes, on behalf of my nephews Camron and Donavan Haynes, and my sister-in-law Anna and my niece Adeleh Pishevar, I want to thank all of you deeply for being here to honor and celebrate Abraham Pishevar II's life. On Monday morning, I received the devastating news that my dear nephew Abraham, my father's namesake, my brother Afshin's first child, and the first grandchild of my parents, had passed away at the age of 18 in a small plane crash along with 3 other members of his college wrestling team. He was the first Pishevar born in America and the first to die on American soil. Abraham's legacy begins with Abe's smile. That glorious, infectious, gigantic smile that stretched from one end of the universe to the other. Abe was born smiling. That smile represented his unique philosophy in action of love, happiness, joy, laughter, and peace wrapped in one incredible package that was and is the spirit of his life. Abraham was an incredible young man. He was always positive and full of love, laughter, and light. He was born a large baby. He grew into a large, athletic Pishevar. He was 100 pounds at the age of 6. He was a prince of peace, a teddy bear. He never would use his size to hurt others and found safe haven in sports to pursue his God-given talents. He became one of the top football players and wrestlers in our state of Maryland and our country. He won a bronze medal at the Junior Olympics, and many said he would go to the Olympics one day. He had a perfect math score on the SATs and great grades, and had just graduated from Georgetown Prep University, which he loved, where he worked so hard and had so many dear friendships. He received a full-ride scholarship at Case Western Reserve University and was on their wrestling team. He had just arrived there the past week and was in that small plane that last night with the other members of his wrestling team and a fellow student. It crashed on takeoff and all 4 young men passed away in that crash. Anyone that met Abraham knew that he was special. To me, he was a perfect person. I do not know of any instance where Abe did wrong to anyone, let alone an insect. He was a giant in body, mind, soul, and heart. One of his friends said that despite his athletic, muscular build, his largest muscle was his heart. He was as saintly and human that I ever had the blessing of knowing. His heart and his purity and his wisdom existed from the earliest age. Let me share with you a couple stories about Abe. My brother told me this story as we flew Abraham back from Ohio this week. My brother held him on the plane in the jet back to Maryland and whispered to him the entire flight. Through the tears, I suddenly saw a smile on my brother's face. I asked him what made him smile. He said, quote, "We were at the Maryland State Wrestling Championship a couple of years ago. Abraham had gotten to the finals. He had one more wrestling match, and it was against last year's state champion. If he won this match, he was guaranteed a place in the top 5 in the state. His opponent had just hurt his knee very badly in the previous match. Coach and I both told Abraham, go for the knee. Go for the knee. You're guaranteed to win. He just looked at us and turned and entered the circle to wrestle. Then Abraham did everything in his power to avoid that injured knee. He ended up tying and so not placing in the top 5. He would not seek victory without honor. His victory was his integrity. His victory was his nobility. His victory was his honor. That is the legacy of this young man. That is the legacy of this incredible young man. Here's another story. One time my beloved mother, Eshrat, was very ill in the hospital. Abe was only 4 years old, and he was visiting my mother. And for some reason, I was inspired to ask Abe a series of deeply philosophical questions. His answers literally floored me. He answered without any hesitation, with his child voice. It was as if his answers were already etched within his heart, as if his answers were written by God upon the sleeves of Abraham's soul. Abraham, I asked, what is the meaning of life? And he looked up at me and he said, possibility? Abraham, what is the meaning of God? And he said, love. Abraham, what is the meaning of anger? He looked up at me and he said, frustration. Abraham, what is the meaning of family? Unity? When he said possibility, I was already on the floor, stunned by his wisdom at such a young age. Abraham was born a fully formed human being. We, the blessed who knew him, had some mysterious sense that we were in the presence of some otherworldly being. Many have said that Abe was and is a fereshteh, an ancient Persian word for angel. He was an angel among us. He flew into all of our lives on invisible wings, and he flew out upon those wings back into the embrace of his Maker. But though he might be invisible to our eyes, we all feel his presence beside us, even now. We can feel his hands upon our shoulders. We can feel his caress upon our mortal cheeks. We can feel his fingers wipe away these salty tears. I have, like many of you, shed so many tears this week that my eyes have turned into dry riverbeds. But I can feel Abe near me always now. I can hear his whispers to be strong, and I vow to never betray his legacy and his memory of positive love and action in the service of others. As my son Cyrus has said, we must all vow to live 2 lives for Abraham, to do all we can to achieve what Abraham would have achieved had he been given more time to live. Abraham could have been anything he wanted to be. We might have known the Senator Abraham Pishevar II. We might have known the President Abraham Pishevar II. But we knew something even greater than that. We knew Abraham Pishevar II, the angel who lived only 6,444 days on this earth. Each one of those days, each one of those hours, each one of those minutes were infinitely precious. We must vow to live our lives for Abe. We must do what we can. We must do what Abe would have done in his life. We must live by this rule. What would Abe do? In each choice we make, each word we say, each action we take, we must ask ourselves, what would Abe do? What words would he choose? What action would he take? If we do so, we will all make the world a better place. As Abe said at the age of 4, the meaning of life is possibility. We must all live our lives to realize the full measure of possibility that Abraham had before him at the young age of 18. His capacity, his life, was one of infinite possibility. If we live our lives with that much more fervor, energy, love, passion, compassion, and effort, we will compound our possibilities and unleash upon this world an energy filled with the power and spirit of our sweet, loving Abraham. Our angel will be up by all of our sides as we fan out upon this planet, with our lives dedicated to living out all the possibilities of this remarkable young man who was with us so briefly but embedded himself deeply into our hearts and souls. Abraham fit more life, more love, more wisdom, more caring into his brief 18 years, 5 months, and 17 days than many fit into a full life of 88 years. It is not how long we are alive, but how much we are alive in the time that is given to us that matters more. If we respond to Abraham's call from the heavens to stand by him as he stands by us through darkness and light, we will create a powerful force of good. If we dedicate our lives to his legacy, we will make it so Abraham has never really died, for he will live through us 1,000 lives, and his memory will live and outlast 1,000 lives and 1,000 deaths, and bloom on through all the possibilities that were made possible through his radiant smile and his radiant beaming heart of love. In the past few days, Abraham has been sending us messages from heaven. Just this morning, his sister Adeleh ran between my father and my brother outside of their home. She looked up at the house and pointed up, "That's my brother. That's my brother." Yesterday, my father and I had coffee, and the waitress returned to our table and gave us a $2 bill. I suddenly remembered and realized that Abraham used to collect $2 bills and has a collection of $2 bills in his piggy bank. I can't recall the last time I ever received a $2 bill. And again, only 6,444 days. His football number at Georgetown Prep was the number 44. I've shared all this with you today so that Abe's spirit and wisdom will now be a permanent part of your life. Please hug your loved ones tighter and longer. Life is far too short and infinitely precious. I love you, Abraham. I'll see you somewhere in the universe again someday.